How I would like to be remembered, probably as the guy who was always there for his friends, the person who never gave up, the person who studied things and was wise and taught them to other people, the person who helped and healed people, the person who worked for God all the time, the person who was a volunteer all the time, who took time out of his life to do things for other people, the person that loves people, the person who believes in good in other people and kindness. That's what I would like to be remembered for. And I don't want a statue. I don't want a king crown. I don't want to be a ruler or a leader. I don't want to be a psychopath. I don't want to be remembered for any of those things. One of the biggest things about running a company is that you notice how people treat you and how easy it is for you to want to choose to do psychopathic tendencies in order to survive. And then you see it in capitalism, you see it in corporations and companies and businesses that in order to survive, they have to do nasty things. And I don't want to do that. Some people will say, "Oh, but you should have done that. You should have been nasty. You should have so and so in this in order for your company to grow and whatnot." And I'm just like, no, I refuse. Because the moment I do that, I betray God and I betray myself and I betray my friends. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be remembered for betraying my friends. And I never did. I was always doing it for them. I was always there. I was always listening. I tried to believe in them. I tried to listen to them all the time, but it wasn't mutual. I want to be remembered for never giving up, that I always kept persisting, even though when it was harsh, when the rain was coming down, when everything was lost and broken, I still kept going. I've lost my apartment. I've lost my income. I've lost my jobs. I've had 12 internships. No one wanted to hire me. I've lost pretty much every friend from the last 15 years over the time. I only have a handful left that I trust that I can really work with because I've seen the true nature of people. I've seen the mask and without the mask. And so, yeah, I'd like to be remembered as the person who was always there for them, who was never judging them and never hurting them and never pushing them down or trying to be better than them or trying to be smarter, just simply being a kind and loving person. And that's all that I really want. I just know that the memory people have of me and the way that I acted is flawless. And I stood up for them. I defended them against evil and against slander. But then the problem is that people can be manipulated. And when they get manipulated, they seem to forget the good things about a person. So you could have done 10 good things and one bad thing, and then all of a sudden those 10 things don't matter anymore, and then they only focus on the bad. That's a cognitive bias that exists. It's a psychological phenomena, and that's fine, but not really because people are unaware of it. But if you do good things for people, hopefully they'll remember it. And even if they don't know it, they will mimic you. They will copy you in one way or another. You've actually left an imprint. You actually influenced them a little bit to be a better person. But then what they choose to do with that, that's up to them. That's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about that. A healed and an awakened earth would look very similar to how it looks like right now on a very superficial and physical scale. People would still live where they live. People would still go places. They would travel. There would be infrastructure. But our attitude, our behavior, the way we treat each other would be different. And from that, we would eventually change our infrastructure to reflect that. And perhaps more people would choose to live in bigger houses together, like communal houses. Perhaps you would talk to your neighbor more, you would hang out with your neighbors more, you wouldn't be afraid of them, you wouldn't have feuds. Maybe you would talk to your family more, maybe you would hang out with them more like friends rather than annoyances and people you try to avoid. And maybe your friends would be an extension of your family or a new family that you would have. Maybe you would live with your friends as roommates. Perhaps people would be friends with benefits because nobody cares. We would live like kings of Egypt or something. We would share things among each other. We would borrow and share, and people would give without asking for anything in return. If something breaks, people would come together to repair it. If you would need to buy something, people would come together to support and kick fund or go fund the project, Kickstarter and crowdfunding. And maybe we would plant trees. Maybe we would take care of gardens. Maybe we would make it look nice everywhere. Maybe there would be no wars because there would be no point in having a war with your neighbor who is yourself. There would be no point in having a war with the oneness of Christ. There would be no point in having a war with ignorance because we would all share. We would all share information with each other. We would all share knowledge. We would pass it down in generations. We would cure cancer in a heartbeat. Like, imagine cancer research and cancer charity has been around for 100 years. 100 years. And where's the cure? Give money, please, give money. Right? No cure for cancer in 100 years. We still donate money to cancer charity. Yeah, but it's a slow process. Yeah, but no, it's not profitable. If we were a utopia, we would kick those doctors in the butt and we would say, you need to give people the cure now because we don't want chemo anymore. But that's not the world we live in. We would try to cure diseases. We would try to cure people with ailments. We would try to have people regrow limbs. We would have agelessness. We would have a respect for each other and understanding. The politicians would not be the enemies of the people, and we wouldn't be enemies to them. We would all work in harmony, a system of trust, a system of love, and we would essentially start thinking about leaving the planet and making spaceships and colonizing Mars or something. And so right now, we as a human species are not ready to colonize Mars because we have people starving and we have homeless people and we have suffering and we have war and conflict and we have greedy politicians. If we go to Mars and Earth goes to shit, who's gonna save Mars? If we make a space station up there in space and we bomb ourselves to smithereens, then we're gonna strand those people up there. Therefore, we're not ready. We are still in an infant stage of our humanity's development. Oh, but we crawled out of the ocean. We were stone monkeys. We were so and so Neanderthals. We've been here for millions of years. That's why we're so sophisticated. No, I'd say we're anything from 10 to 20,000 years old in terms of our development. We are cavemen with iPhones. We haven't had that development yet. We haven't gone through all of it. And so we're not mature, either physically or spiritually or mentally, to even start thinking about colonizing a different planet or even exploring the stars. That would be probably another 500 years at this rate that we're going right now. And essentially, the utopia starts in here. The change starts within there. And then you build it outwards. And then you change the world. But people don't want that. They want conformity. They want lies. They want conveniency. They want laziness. And because of that, we're not ready. As I said in the previous first video, I said if the aliens came here and they wanted to take over, I mean, sure, go ahead. You know, we would be dominated. We would be conquered. We have all these movies like V, and we have the Independence Day, and we're gonna defeat the aliens, and we're gonna blow up the mothership, and oh yeah, we live to live another day. Yeah, humans are great. Yeah, and then now look at society. If Independence Day happened, gone, right? So we're not ready. We're not mature, and the utopia is not here. But we can dream, we can wish, we can hope for it, that one day it might happen, but it starts with you. It starts with you taking a step into awakening into your true power, into your true love, because it's missing, it's lacking today. A lot of people don't love anything but themselves, or don't love anything spiritual but the material. And they don't love God because God put us here. Such an evil person to put us here in the machine, in the matrix, right? Oh, he's so evil. He can't help it because we were made, we were created, we are in the universe. So you can't really blame rain for making you wet. You can't blame the sun for making you hot. You can't blame snow and ice for making you cold. That is just the physical laws of thermodynamics. The same way we can't blame God for putting us here because this is the default. This is what we have to do. This is where we have to be. What we can blame is the government for making us think that God is evil, or that we shouldn't work together, or that we are enemies, or that we're racist, or that we're not racist. We can build a utopia because we have AI now, and the AI can take over government. The AI can run government, and we can just make sure it doesn't corrupt itself. And at that point, we don't need politicians anymore, because then it would be a matter of people asking the AI, saying, we need to build a house. And the AI says, yes, we will build a house. A general theme that has occurred now as we develop more technology and robots and AI is that we are becoming obsolete, that our skills and our professions, our jobs is all becoming more and more automated. And as a result, people become more lazy, and as a result, people loses purpose. And without purpose, people will lose their marbles, because some people are not creative enough to entertain themselves by learning how to paint or write books or make movies or do things with their mind. They're going to become endless, useless consumers, because AI will take over their job, and then they have to go and look for a different job. But they're not going to get paid money by the government to sit around and fart. They're not going to get paid for just eating food. There needs to be something that people have to do. So it's going to have to be a shift from going from these normal jobs into jobs related to AI and jobs related to programming and computer science, to find purpose again. Until AI starts rewriting itself and starts writing programs, then we don't even have to program anymore. And then we are obsolete again. And the question is, can humanity handle that? Can we handle becoming obsolete? Can we handle being bored? I don't think everyone is ready for that, because they need a certain level of maturity and spirituality in order to avoid those fall traps. And so in the future, we're going to be a different species. We're going to be a different race. We're going to be doing different things. But if we're not spiritual, and if we're not in the respect of the divine and God, it will all be useless. It will all mean nothing. So you better learn how to paint. Oh, well, the AI can paint for you. Well, you better learn how to write a book then. Well, they can write a book for you. Well, you better learn how to drive a car. Well, your car drives by itself. Well, you better learn how to carry groceries. Well, you got a robot for that now. You got to think about the consequences of what happens when humans become lazy and complacent. You got to think about what convenience might do to us. The movie Wall-E is an interesting example. A spaceship floating through space where people are waiting to come back to Earth because we ruined it. But everyone is fat on a floater, just sitting, sipping Kool-Aid and watching TV shows. That's where we're heading. So we have to be careful that we don't head into that we don't become like that. We have to think better. We have to know better. We have to have a divine connection, because otherwise we are just consumers. We are just consuming and consuming and consuming, and we're not adding anything back to the thing. And then we become fat. And then after we become fat, we become lazy. And when we become lazy, society will just end by itself. In order to become spiritual, you need discipline. In order to serve God, you need discipline. In order to be with God, you need to be kind. You need to be intelligent. You need to be creative. You need to understand certain things. Otherwise, you're dead on the inside. You're a husk and an NPC. And so you have to wake up from the sleep. That's all you have to do. Wake up and realize what's going on around you. Realize what they're doing to you. Realize what the real lies are in society. Open your eyes. And then one day, maybe we can live in peace. Maybe we can all live in harmony. Maybe. Maybe we can. But as it is right now, people are deceived. People are tricked. People are following stupid ideologies. Ideologies that essentially could kill you. Ideologies that would mean relinquishing your sovereignty and your liberties. And you have no responsibility today, so without responsibility, liberties are useless. If you don't take responsibility for yourself and your family and what you do and your actions, there is no point in having liberties. In the future, if we continue getting dumber, there's going to be laws against things that is unconceivable today, like you're not allowed to operate a lawnmower because you could put your foot under the blade. You're not allowed to drive a car because it's unsafe. You know, we could put laws on things that we take for granted today. And then eventually, what's the point? What's the point of doing anything if you have to have a law restricting you? Then you don't have liberties anymore. So if you have free speech, you have free speech with responsibility. And if you don't have responsibility, your free speech is useless, because then we need laws to regulate free speech so that people don't get hurt and offended by you using your free speech to do dumb things. And that's where we're heading. That's what we are at. The movie Idiocracy was supposed to be a parody. It was supposed to be a comedy, not a documentary, not a prophecy, not an instruction manual. Idiocracy was supposed to be a funny mockery of how we should not be living. And now in 2025, we already have it. We are living in the movie Idiocracy right now. We're living in it, essentially. I'm going to be wrapping up now because I've answered most of the questions, and this kind of tugged on for a long time. So with that, I've gone through and answered most questions that people might have. And with this, I hope you have a broader understanding of who I am and why I'm here and why we're doing this. And I'm with you, and we are all one, and we will do this. And we will defeat evil. We will defeat ignorance one step at a time. And if we don't, then there will be nothing left. That is all. So you have a good day, and God bless you, and we'll talk again soon.